Right. So I'm thinking about simulations and creating um, creating the perfect game simulation and what would that look like and what would that be like. Um, and so I'm just trying to think about how you would break down using actual statistics and numbers and then create some sort of a digital game out of that and an interaction between the hitter and the pitcher. I think you just have to get some things down so that you can get as close as possible. And I'm going to show you um, how much variance there is. And it depends on some different factors. But, we always talk about sample sizes. Sample sizes are too small in any sport uh, to really come out accurately unless you were to simulate something 1,000 times or 10,000 times or 50,000 times and then take an average of that, and maybe that's the best way to go about doing it. You essentially run 50 seasons in the background, and then you display sort of the average results, which would give you the most. Mm, it would give you the closest to that particular player's actual statistics. So here we have Justin Verlander. These are his actual stats from 2023. So these are his combined statistics for the year. So 669 total batters faced. He had 619 at bats against him. Opponents had 226. They had 139 hits, 18 homers, 45 walks. He had 144 strikeouts, 5 hit by pitch, and he accounted for 318 outs out of those 669 at bats. Down here, we're going to run a simulation and we're going to see how close we can get to these statistics. And then here you're going to see a plus minus. So, how close did the simulation get to the actual statistics? And so you can see here, at bats are down a little bit, 2%. Average is up 10%. Hits are up, which is going to cause the average to be up. Home runs are up, which will also cause the average to go up. Actually, home runs don't factor into average. I took those out, so it's only hits that factor into average. Walks are they're not way up, but you can see it's 20%, so 11 more than the actual. So this is actual on the top. Strikeouts right on there, so one less than the actual hit by pitch spot on, and then outs are a little bit down comparatively. That's going to be because the hits are up and because the home runs are up and because the walks are up. So some of these things are just, it's like a scale, one side goes up and the other side has to go down. So if we run the simulation again, but you can see 669 total batters faced, and then all of these other stats come out of that. So if we run it again, we get within 1% of the at bats. Uh, Average, almost spot on. Um, and what is that, eight thousandths of a percent uh, between the two averages. Hits are almost spot on. Homers about the same. Walks down a little bit this time, and so you see a little bit of variation here. But I wanted to show this one because this one is is very interesting. There's only one. It's a difference of -1, right? So the actual is 5, and then we had 4 in the simulation. But you can see that that accounts for a 25% reduction from the actual. So one thing that you notice is the larger the number, the more variance there can be, and it gets you a lower percentage of being off. So you see these are the two big numbers here, and here, and here. And so there's a variance of plus 10, and it's only accounting for a 3% difference. So sometimes when you hear designers, they'll be asked something like, what mm, what percentage do you need to be within of actual to feel comfortable with your um, with your statistics or with your game engine. Um, Over 600 at bats, 1% I think is really good. So you're within 1% of the 619 actual at bats. Over the batting average, you know, 3.7% is good. Over the hits, 2% is good. For home runs, it's 10%, but that only accounts for a two home run difference. So to me, that's acceptable because you give up a home run here, there's a wall scraper, there's somebody who robs a home run. It could be anything that accounts for two more home runs. It could be that the mistake that the guy just missed, he gets it, or the wind doesn't blow in that day, or whatever it is. And with the walks, to me, 5 walks is acceptable. 3 strikeouts definitely close, but because this is only one difference between the simulated and the actual, even though it says 25% is the difference, and it is 25%, to me that's more than acceptable to be off by one on such a small number. And then for the outs, obviously that looks good as well. Um, so we run it again. We're within, so we're at 0.2%, so plus one or minus one on the at bats. The average down a little bit, but that's because hits are down. Home runs still up a little bit, and walks spot on. K is almost spot on. Hit by pitch again, you're at the 25%, and then the outs almost spot on as well. So I feel like the simulation here, to me, like if you were to ask me, is a simulation ready for prime time? I would say yes, because all of these sort of larger scale numbers are within 1 to 2%. Your smaller scale numbers like this are going to be off. You're only off by two, but that's 67%. So it's a large number because the denominator is so small. And the larger the denominator, the greater the greater the spread can be between the denominator and the numerator, and it still be a kind of a small number. Here, same thing. So plus 16, but that accounts for less than 5% of a difference. So I just want to show you that, just kind of how even the best simulation, and really this is just a simulation only on the pitcher. This does not take the batter into the count, and basically I'm just trying to replicate or recreate. Uh, I'm just trying to recreate the scenario or recreate his statistics. So if we take a look at the code, I'll just show you any code jockeys out there. So basically I set up my simulation variables. I have one dice roll, and on that dice roll that it's a 1 to 1,000. So I am rolling, it would be the equivalent to 3d10 dice. I get that result. every time every time I click on this button that says run simulation, I get a fresh roll. So I roll this dice or this die. This finds the difference. So that's the middle part here. So the difference between this up here and this down here. Essentially, I'm looking at the actual numbers that I placed in and comparing them. Excuse me. Excuse me. I wasn't supposed to be like that. There we go. I'm comparing them to the totals. So these are the simulation totals that get filled in here. So you can see that I'm comparing basically uh, the this gives me the total whole number. So the total average, this is the simulated average minus the actual, gives me the whole number here. And then to get the percentage, we do this percentage calculation here. Basically, this gives me whatever 0.1 percent. And then we just, we pipe it out here so you can see it. So I do that for everything, for strikeouts, hit by pitch, outs, all of these different all these different values here. You can see they're kind of, you read them in columns like this. Um, every time I click on run simulation, I run this at bat function. Um, the die roll, uh, because it's a 1000, I'm putting it on a scale of 1 to 1000. So basically, I need to, when I do my comparison function, my if-then statements, I need to compare it to 1000 because that's my range is 1000. I'd originally started with Yu Darvish and moved on to Verlander, but these are the actual stats. I should probably use these to be filled in here. Um, but then I have a formula for getting all the player outs. I was just checking that out. I have a formula for getting total batters faced, and I'm getting that just out of these. Um, really, what I'm doing here is just making sure that when I input all of these, that I come out with the right numbers. So I need to come out with 669 here, just to make sure that everything everything is working right. And if I come out with 669, I know that I've put everything right together. And then I need to find what percentage of his actual stats are, what is his hit percentage. So when you say he's given up 139 hits in 669 at bats, I need to run that calculation and get that hit percentage. Um, basically, it's just player hits, which is here 139 divided by 669. So that gives me my percentage. What is his hit percentage um, for the season? And then I can apply that hit percentage to each roll, so that if the roll falls within a certain range, then I can apply that percentage and say, okay, the range for a hit is 1 to whatever. A total percentage, so again, when I do all these percentages, I want to make sure that all of the percentages equal 1, because these are all the possibilities that we have on each roll. So you want to make sure that those basically add up to 100%. We have the chances for events to happen out of 100. So we have the hit percentage, but when we put it on a scale or a range of 1 to 1000, what is his actual hit chance? And so that's what we're doing here. So let's say his strikeout percentage is 28%. What is that 28% out of 1000? Because 1000 is our range, because that's all the possibilities, 1 to 1000. So we need to parse that out and get a range. And then I created a little cap here. Basically, this says, let's say uh, what's the first one? Let's say the hit chance is a 1 to, it's like 233. Like, let's say this comes out to 233. I don't know what it is. But let's say it comes out to 233. So there are 233 chances based off of his hit percentage for the year out of 1,000 chances. So that's his hit chance. And then we need to convert that to a range. And so we call that, I'm calling that the hit cap or the home run cap. So that cap is going to equal um, essentially 1 to 233 is going to be his hit cap. So anything from 0 up to 233 is going to be his hit range. And then for the next one, let's say his home run cap is, uh, well, let's say his home run chance is 100. So we need from 234 to 333. That needs to be his home run range. So that when we roll our D1000 dice, if that roll is 1 to 233, it's a hit. If it's 234 to 333, it's a home run. And so we have to just sort of we have to set that whatever the whatever the number before was, which is 233, plus whatever the home run chance was, which is 100, and adding those two things together is going to get us to 333, and 333 is our home run cap. So up to that point, and then I use that down here. So I roll the die. That's the 1 to 1,000, and then I need to evaluate the die roll. So I have the die roll here. And if the die roll result is greater than 0 and it's less than or equal to the hit cap, which we said up here was 233, then it's a hit. And so we do some things down here. I just need, this is all like counting and adding the hits in here, and also subtracting home runs from the hits so that we can use that for the batting average. And then we have we have a simulated at bat, so we add one when there's a hit. We don't add one when there is a walk or a hit by pitch because those don't count for at bats. So I had to kind of get that in there to make sure that we're parsing out batter spaced, which is every single roll, and at bats, which is only when there's a hit, home run, strikeout. There's no at bat for a hit by pitch or a walk, right? So, got to kind of parse those things out. And then the second one, if it's not a hit, um, and the die one result value is greater than the hit cap, which is here. If it's greater than 233, so 234, and it's less than or equal to the home run cap, which theoretically we said was 333, right? So if it's between 234 and 333, then it's going to be a home run. Again, we add to our home run total, we output that to the screen, we do one more, add another to our at bats, and I have a way to just kind of check that with the console log. So we do that with the walks as well. So there's a range here that we create for the walks. There's a range that we create for the strikeouts. You can see with the walks that we don't have this same at bat adding one to the at bat because we don't do that for the walks. And then you go all the way down, and then the outs basically are to the end. You know, they're whatever to 1,000. So once we figure that out, what happened with the die result, then you can add one to the total batters faced. So that gets done regardless what the result is here. That's why it's not inside of every one of those. And then we output total batters faced up here. Essentially, it's going to be however many rolls are in our loop that we run. The average, the average we get by evaluating these outputs. So it was easiest to take the at bats here, and then the hits here. And so I'm calling it fresh hits. These are like the ones that have been output to the screen. So basically, we read these outputs after they've been output, and then we take hits divided by at bats, and then that gives us our average, and then we push that average out to here to our average. And then run simulation is the name of the button. And so once I do that, I clear everything out. You can see here that all the numbers are there, and then when I click again, it doesn't add anything. It clears it out and then runs it over again. And then from here, I can just run a simple for loop for however many batters faced, and then that essentially gives me the number of total batters faced for that pitcher. And then I run, this is just for testing, so I run at bat, I run this big long function with the die roll and everything in it. So all of this, I run all that, and then when that is finished with the loop, then I run the find the difference, and that runs this code for this middle part that finds the difference between the two. So that's just a little bit of walk. It's always a little bit dangerous to be showing people the code um, that you're using because somebody's probably bound to say, well, I could do it better than that or whatever. So I'm sure you could. My JavaScript skills are good enough, but um, I'm not a master or anything like that. So I can use this application to input any pitcher's data here. And really, again, if I was smart, I would put their data right here, which I did, but I haven't connected it to this top row. I should be able to put it in once here, and then it outputs it here, but I've hard coded the numbers in there. Um, just because you know what to do doesn't mean you always do it. Uh, so we have the simulation here. I feel like the game engine is in a really good spot where I could go out and um, get any data from. I have a spreadsheet of 2023 players for on-base baseball, for instance. But I could go out and create any data, a huge spreadsheet um, for every baseball player in history. I could create that, and then you would be able to go out and choose that player either through some sort of input, like I'm choosing a season first, and then I'm choosing a team, and then you would be able to go and get that player's statistics, put them in here programmatically, and then be able to run this simulation, and it should come out to. I feel very confident it's going to come out within an acceptable range, especially for the larger scale numbers here. But even for the small scale numbers, it's going to come out into an acceptable range, and you can see that it's remaining, especially with the large numbers, it's remaining within 1%, which I would think would be more than acceptable for any game engine for any game. You're still remaining within 15% here, which is just 3 home runs, and you can continue to do that. Who knows what the variation is, other than it's just the roll of the dice, quite literally, that creates this statistical variation and a little bit of noise throughout all of these numbers. So, but you can see you get in pretty quick to there's going to be kind of an average. That's why I was saying you could run this simulation 50 times, take the average, and then output it to the screen, and I think you would have really close to this number in the middle here. Because every once in a while you're going to get it like this, right, where you're within 0.002 of the batting average, and this would be a pretty good season. The home runs are up, uh, the walks are down, but everything else is pretty far in line with his actual 2023 season. So I'm just kind of running trial and error and thinking about some of these things. While I have it on the screen, I'll just show you uh, this replay I've been doing here. I took the actual schedule for this year's 2024 Major League Baseball, and you can see the standings here. And I've just been using the game engine chart. So if you go here, you can do shop all games, not the game engine chart, but if you go to free, um, you can find the baseball simulation chart under the free section. And this chart looks just like this. So this is the exact same one I'm using. It's on a 1 to 100 scale. And essentially it allows you to take two teams. So you take the first team, the away team I put on the top, and the home team I put down the left-hand side. It doesn't really matter which one you use. You can use either one, but I put the away at the top, the home on the left, and when I do the home on the left, then this number represents the this number or smaller, and the home team wins. Um, I'd have to really think about how you did it if the home team was on the top. So I typically have it in my head that just visiting team on the top, home team on the left, and let's say you have a team that's playing 500 against a team that's playing 300 for their winning percentage. The 300 team at 300 winning percentage is at home, and they have a 1 to 32 chance on a D100 roll of winning the game. If they roll 1 to 32, that's a win. If it's 33 to 100, then it's a win for the visiting team. So if you had a team that was playing 340 at a 340 clip against a 440, you can see that the home team would be a 1 to 60 for a win. If they are playing at exactly the same winning percentage, it's a toss-up. It's a 50-50. 1 to 50 is the win for the home team. 51 to 100 is a win for the away team. So super interesting to use. It's based off of Bill James' log 5 method for determining win probabilities in baseball. And there's a link if you download the chart at the bottom. And if you look at that link, table 7 was the one that was translated from winning percentage to a dice roll that you can use with 2d10 dice or 1d100. So that's been kind of interesting to just sort of see. You can see each day. This is the end of each day, the gray. And I've made my way up to today, which, as I record this, is Thursday, April 4th. And so you can see these are the games today. We have Pittsburgh beating Washington on the road. Minnesota and St. Louis win at home. And then the White Sox beat the Royals in Kansas City. And so these are our standings. I'm just kind of filling those in, but these are continuously sorted all the time. I've just created a little auto sort that will keep these sorted. Doesn't matter what I do over here. So Baltimore and Boston and Tampa Bay, all these are kind of bunched up here together in the AL East. Minnesota's jumped out in the AL Central. Detroit playing well. They're actually at the top of the standings right now in the AL Central. So Detroit has actually been playing very well. Kansas City and Cleveland have played a little bit better than this, and Chicago has played much worse. But it's how the dice roll, right? Houston playing well. Seattle playing a little bit over their skis here. Los Angeles has started well. They actually started well in real life. Texas is playing better than that in real life. Atlanta is in first in the East in the actual season, so no real surprises here other than Philly, who's playing better. Miami actually won some games, and so did New York. Right now they're winless. In the Central, the Cardinals have been playing well, but Pittsburgh has been playing well too, so it seems like a little bit of, like it's kind of caught those just a little bit. And the way I've been using the game simulation chart is I've been following the, on Fangraphs, there is a projected winning percentage. Let's see if I can find where that was. Yeah. So this is where it was. It's under their depth charts. I don't even know where I'd find that. Leaders. It's not the leaders. Yeah, I'm not sure where I would find that. But you can see what I looked up, but it's fangraphs.com/depth charts, and the position is standings. You know, you can look at their base runs. So they have their Pythagorean win percentage here. They have their base runs, so run differentials and things like that. What their actual win percentage is over here. What they've done year to date. And then The standings here are the ones I'm using. So I'm using the projected full season stats here. So I've basically just been going down through here and finding each team's winning percentage. You can also see that they're broken up by divisions. And so you can see their winning percentage. I just use those winning percentages um, to do the game simulation chart here for the home and the away teams. Um, you could use what they are year to date. Um, they project out the rest of the season as well, and so you can see they're projecting the Dodgers to come back a little bit from their projections, and also to come way back from their winning percentage. They're expecting the Braves to win at a 3 out of every 5 clip. And then you can see some others. The Yankees, they expect um, to project out a little bit worse than what they did when they started the season. The Astros are playing under a little bit at this point, so they're projecting them to play better. And this again is based off of run differentials, so runs scored and runs given up, runs against. Um, so just going through, and maybe there's some surprises in here. They're expecting the Pirates to come back a little bit from what they projected, but right now the Pirates are at 833 winning percentage. They're 5-1. The Angels are another interesting team. They're projecting them out at 80 and 82, which they're playing about that same kind of clip right now. And the Mets are significantly below their projections. Sorry, Met fans. But that is using the game simulation chart. That was a little extra. It wasn't something I was ready to talk about, but I did share it on the Facebook group. But you can see all the different wins here. And then I'll just keep going through each day simulating, and we'll see where we are at the end of the season. And it'll just kind of keep a running total of what the standings are here, and I'll share those maybe once a week or every so often just to see how things are doing with the simulation. But again, this is used for replays where you don't want to simulate every single game or you don't want to play every single game. You might want to sim some of them, but you want to play on the tabletop and not necessarily wanting to play a computer game. And so this gives you a way to do that, to do some simulating. You can just click download now, and it'll ask you, do you want to continue? I'm already signed in. You'd probably need to put in your email address because it'll send you an email copy as well. And if you wanted to purchase something else, you could just add it to your cart and then get the download whenever you make all the purchases. So it's a little bit what I'm working on, just something interesting, talking about this simulation and kind of what is an acceptable range of a variance between what is actual and what is simulated. And I think it's probably a little bit to each person, like what they're comfortable with. But for me, seeing that he only hit one person but 5 in real life, uh, maybe a little disturbing. But knowing that if you played it all again, he would be less than 2, or it would be spot on. So to me, taking sort of an average and looking at this over and over, if it was continually coming up as 1 out of 5, then that might be disconcerting to me. But you can see sometimes it's a little over, sometimes it's a little under. And it's not a bother because that's such a small number that it really throws this percentage out of whack. But when you look over here, this number here is always consistently within 1%, which is what you're going to hope for and expect whenever you run simulations on a large set of numbers. Same here, you're going to be within 5 or 10%. A couple times it's spot on. So that tells me that the average is probably, 10 or 11%. Either way, like a plus 10 or 11%. And to me, that's, more than acceptable, because if you put them against a person who's batting, then that batter is going to have some effect on the play as well. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comments section below. If you like this video, just give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, let me know. I'm always running simulations like this, sort of on the side, or doing little experiments to see what it would be like to create a simulation game as opposed to um, more of a fun tabletop type of game, or how can I meld the accuracy that I can get here with a 1 to 1,000 roll, or even a 1 to a million roll. If I wanted to do a million, that would bring the numbers way down. And all it requires is that my that my range figures out 1 to a million, right, or 1 to 10,000, and will be something to look at and see how close, if it makes the numbers here any closer, just by doing a larger range. I can't imagine it would, but it would give you a little bit more fine-grained detail. The percentages here really have to do with the denominator. It's the you would just need to run more batter spaced as opposed to having a more detailed die roll. If you only did 1 to 10, that's not as good as 1 to 1,000, and but I don't know if it would get that much better if you did 1 to 10,000. So, but if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you really like it, give it a share. That Google likes that, so it does help whenever you share people's YouTube videos. And if you want to join the Facebook group, it's at just go to Facebook and look up Clark and Addison Gaming, and you'll be able to find the Facebook group there. Answer a few questions. It's a private group, so just answer a few questions so there's no spammers, and I'll let you in. I think that's all for now. I'll be posting more about the 1941 World Series and just more projects that I'm going. If I get a little bit farther with this, where there's a batter, and then maybe some interaction between those two, I'll make sure I update the video. All right, I think that's it from here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.